I had just pressed a button on my garage door opener when a shrill, ear-splitting scream tore across the street. "That's my car. He's stealing my car. Someone call 911. The voice belonged to Patricia Brennan, HOA president of Riverside Gardens, and within seconds, she was pacing on our front lawn in a neon-pink bathrobe, phone to her ear, shrieking into 911 while pointing at my driveway like she'd just uncovered a felony in progress. Her hair was still in curlers, and her free arm flailed so wildly that her coffee mug went flying, splattering dark stains across her perfectly trimmed grass. My name is David Holloway. I'm the sort of man who lines up his wrenches by size and keeps his garage floor spotless enough to eat off. I work from home as a software consultant, which means I'm around to witness the endless neighborhood theatrics. Patricia Brennan had been circling me like a hawk ever since I outbid her son at a public auction for a pristine 2019 BMW 5 Series, a car that now sat gleaming in my garage, metallic blue under the LED strips I'd installed last summer. I'd bought it outright with cash I'd saved for 3 years. From the moment I brought it home, Patricia's behavior had gone from odd to unsettling. First, she appeared at my door with a plate of cookies, something she hadn't done once in the 5 years I'd lived here. With a smile that never touched her eyes, she chirped, "What a coincidence. I ordered the exact same model last month. The dealer says it should arrive any day now." Days later, she came back with an offer. "If you ever want to sell, I'll give you what you paid today." I declined politely but firmly. That was all it took for things to spiral. Within the week, bogus HOA violation notices started flooding my mailbox. My garage door was left open too long, supposedly compromising neighborhood security. It had been open 7 minutes while I unloaded groceries. I was accused of visual pollution for storing a car in my closed garage. Then came the absurd noise complaint. I'd been checking tire pressure at 2 in the afternoon on a Saturday. The nitpicking escalated. She cited me for reflective glare from my garage windows, demanded my driveway be resurfaced over microscopic oil stains, and even tried to pass a new HOA rule requiring all luxury vehicles to be registered with the board, conveniently applying only to my street. That morning began like any other. I had a downtown client meeting, so I grabbed my briefcase and headed for the garage. The moment the door began lifting and the BMW slid into view, Patricia exploded from her house like she'd been crouched at the window, waiting. "Stop him. He's taking my car. That's my brand new BMW. Delivered yesterday. I have the paperwork right here." She waved what looked like a printed email, as if it were holy scripture. "Patricia," I said evenly, stepping out of my garage with my hands in plain sight, "this is my car. I bought it at the county auction 2 weeks ago. You've seen me driving it." She wasn't listening. Tears streaked her face as she spun a wild tale for the dispatcher. I had supposedly broken into her garage in the dead of night, hacked her opener, and stolen her car, moving it into my own garage to cover my tracks. "He's probably been planning this for months," she cried. "Send officers immediately before he escapes." What Patricia didn't realize was that I had already anticipated this kind of stunt. After her third bogus violation, I had installed security cameras covering every inch of my property, including a crystal-clear view of my garage interior. Every scrap of paperwork for the BMW was organized neatly in the glove box. Auction listing, bill of sale, cashier's check receipt, title transfer, even photos from the day I picked it up. Sure enough, within 10 minutes 2 police cruisers pulled up. Officers Morrison and Detective Walsh stepped out, exchanging a look that suggested they'd already guessed which one of us was the problem. Patricia, still shrieking and gesturing like a stage actress in the middle of a breakdown. By the time the officers arrived, Patricia's story had spiraled out of control. She was now shouting that I ran a sophisticated car theft ring and urging them to raid my garage for other stolen vehicles. According to her, I'd been stalking her for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment to steal the BMW she was expecting. "Good morning, officers," I said evenly, walking toward them with my hands in plain view. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding. This is my car, legally purchased at a public auction. I have the documents right here." I retrieved a folder from the glove box and handed it to Officer Morrison. He began flipping through the title, bill of sale, and auction papers while Detective Walsh listened to Patricia, who was breathlessly doubling down. I have an order confirmation, she declared, thrusting a piece of paper into Walsh's hand. It turned out to be nothing more than a printout from BMW's online configuration tool, a dream build she had saved, not an actual order. But she presented it like it was a notarized deed. This proves it's mine, she said, her voice swelling with triumph. I've been waiting for weeks for this exact car. While she ranted, Morrison quietly ran the VIN through the patrol car system. The results came back in less than 2 minutes. Ma'am, he said carefully, turning toward Patricia, this vehicle is registered to David Holloway. Purchased at a county auction October 15th. Legally transferred, titled, and insured in his name since October 17th. There's no theft report, and your name isn't associated with this VIN in any way. The look on Patricia's face was priceless. Her jaw worked soundlessly like a fish gasping for air. But instead of admitting defeat, she escalated. Well, the HOA has special provisions for community property reassignment, she announced grandly. As president, I have authority to requisition any vehicle that threatens neighborhood safety. This car is far too extravagant for him. Clearly, he's involved in something shady to afford it. Detective Walsh arched an eyebrow. Are you actually claiming your HOA can seize private vehicles? Patricia nodded earnestly. Section 47, subsection C. Any property inconsistent with community harmony can be reassigned by board vote. I held an emergency vote this morning with myself, and it passed unanimously. That was the moment the mood shifted. Walsh exchanged a look with Morrison, then fixed Patricia with a hard stare. Ma'am, listen carefully. You've called 911 with a false theft report. You've attempted to pass off fraudulent ownership claims. Now you're pretending you have legal authority to steal someone else's property. These are crimes. Patricia's bluster faltered, her face draining of color. I'm not lying. I deserve that car more than he does. Do you know who I am? I'm HOA president. I've lived here 15 years. He's nobody. He sits at home all day. He doesn't even have a real job. She jabbed a finger at me, shaking with fury. Ma'am, Morrison cut in firmly. False reports are a crime. Attempted fraud is a crime. Misuse of emergency services is a crime. You need to come with us. Her eyes widened in disbelief. You can't arrest me. I'm the victim. Check his garage. There are probably more stolen cars in there. I spoke calmly. Officers, you're welcome to look. I have nothing to hide. I pressed the remote, raising the garage door fully. Inside sat my 2 cars, the gleaming BMW and my old dented Honda Civic. The walls were lined with neatly arranged tools, everything spotless and in order. That one, Patricia shrieked, pointing at the Civic. That's stolen too. Nobody has 2 cars unless they're a criminal. That was the final straw. Walsh stepped forward. Patricia Brennan, you're under arrest for filing a false police report, attempted fraud, and misuse of emergency services. As Morrison pulled out the handcuffs, Patricia spun and bolted toward her front door. Her slippers flew off mid-sprint as she stumbled across the lawn, shrieking protest the entire way. She didn't get far. Morrison caught up within seconds, taking her by the arm as the neighborhood looked on. By then, at least 20 residents had gathered, some clustered on lawns, others peering from windows. Phones raised to capture every second. Patricia Brennan's pristine reputation was unraveling in real time. This is all a misunderstanding, she shrieked as the cuffs clicked around her wrists. I'm being framed. He's the real criminal. Someone call my lawyer. Call the HOA board. As they walked her toward the patrol car, she twisted back to glare at me, her voice dripping venom. You haven't won. I'll sue you for everything. I'll make sure you can never park in this neighborhood again. The HOA will ban you. You'll regret ever crossing me. Morrison guided her firmly into the back seat, reciting her rights as she kicked and shouted. Walsh, meanwhile, approached me with a business card. Mr. Holloway, we'll need a full statement later at the station. And if I were you, I'd consider filing a restraining order. Keep every one of those bogus HOA notices. Those may become evidence of harassment. 3 months later, I sat in a courtroom, listening as Patricia's downfall reached its conclusion. The investigation had unearthed more than anyone expected. false police report, attempted grand theft auto by fraud, harassment, and repeated misuse of 911. Worse still, the prosecutor revealed she had been embezzling HOA funds to fuel her luxury car obsession, explaining her obsession with my BMW. The judge's voice was firm and unyielding. Mrs. Brennan, your actions represent a gross abuse of power and a blatant disregard for the law. You weaponize your HOA position and our emergency services for a personal vendetta. Patricia stood in a conservative gray suit, a stark contrast to the pink bathrobe she'd worn that chaotic morning. Her face was pale, lips trembling. For the crimes of filing a false report, attempted fraud, and criminal harassment, the judge continued, I sentence you to 18 months in prison, 3 years probation, and $50,000 in restitution to Mr. Holloway for legal fees and damages. Furthermore, you are permanently barred from serving on any homeowners association board. The gavel struck with a sharp crack. Patricia's knees buckled, and her lawyer had to steady her as she broke down in sobs, whispering through tears, This isn't fair.